Thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about how Matterport and Procore partnered to provide a path to an efficient and innovative construction project management solution. But before we dive in, quick housekeeping. We will be doing a Q&A in the end, so please do drop your questions into the Q&A tab as they come up and throughout the presentations. There's also a chat button, so maybe a bit confusing perhaps, but please make sure to put any questions that you may have and that you want to have answered live into the Q&A tab. We have allocated about 10 to 15 minutes in the end to answer all of your questions. And please also be aware that this session will be recorded for our on-demand channel. So if colleagues of yours or you want to reference it in later on may not be able to join us today, you will be able to watch it on demand later. All right, so a quick introduction as to who will be speaking today. My name is Nicola Marie Noritz, and I'm Senior Alliance Manager here at Matterport and manage the partnership with Procore. And I'm very lucky to be joined today by two amazing speakers and Procore experts, Travis Dansby and DJ Phipps. Thank you so much for joining me today. Would you mind please giving a quick introduction before we dive in?
Sure, I'd love to. My name is Travis Dansby. I'm a partner integration manager at Procore, which just means that I help build the integrations to people within our app marketplace. So excited to work alongside or discuss the integration that I help build with Matterport today.
Thanks, Travis. Yeah, DJ Phipps, strategic product consultant at Procore, working with customers on implementation, training, and support issues with the Procore platform, and help out with the partner team and working with other partners as well. So happy to be here this morning.
Thank you so much. Really great to have you. All right, so we'll start off by quickly going through the current industry trends with specific focus on the AEC industry. And then I will give an overview of Matterport Digital Twins, what they are and how it works, also with specific focus on the AEC vertical, followed then by an introduction from Travis and DJ on Procore. And once you're familiar with both of our technology platforms, we'll walk you through our recently launched integration between our two companies and show you how you can streamline your existing project workflows. And in that section, we'll also have a quick demo to show you exactly how it works. And then finally, as mentioned before, we'll wrap it up with some Q&A in the end. All right, industry trends. What are we looking at? You're probably not surprised, but we'll be speaking about and focusing on digitization. Digitization has evolved significantly over the years. Initially, it involved converting analog information into digital formats. And as technology advanced, it led to an emergence of the digital age, marked by the growth of computers and the internet. And specifically in the AEC industry, digitization has a history grounded in the adoption of computer-aided design, so CAD, and has evolved to encompass such as BIM, or trends such as BIM, augmented and virtual reality, artificial intelligence, IoT, 3D printing, data analytics, and cloud computing. And today, digitization is really transforming various sectors, so enabling efficiency, connectivity, and data-driven decision-making. And in fact, 90% of all the data that has ever been created in the world has been created in the last 2 years. And this is only showing you how much the world has changed in the last couple of years and how it changed the way we work and the way we communicate, shop, and much more. And if you would put this into perspective, all of the data that was recorded prior to 2021 is only basically 10% of what we have today. So it's pretty massive what has changed over the last couple of years. And digitization means that we are collecting more data than ever before. And with this trend set to continue with technology and digital workflows, the question that one could ask itself is really, is more data always better? Because actually the amount of data that we are collecting is not important, because it's more about the application and the usage of the data in an effective and collaborative method. And this is really what we are focusing on in today's webinar. Our focus lies on the AEC vertical and how technology and digitization has changed the way AEC companies work and collaborate. So AEC companies are already collecting a ton of data today, but are they using it really in the way that's most beneficial to them and to the firm? If you look at the stats that are on here on the slides, that is not really the case. The massive influx of the additional project data means that we continue to inadequately and inefficiently understand, communicate, and use the data that we collected. In fact, 95% of all the data that we captured in the architecture and construction and engineering industry goes unused. And this is pretty massive, because only 5% of the data that's collected gets used efficiently. And so if companies understand the value of the data they collect and how they can effectively use it to drive efficiencies and streamline processes, they can really unlock significant benefits. And one of the most critical areas for improvement is around rework, because companies are misunderstanding and miscommunicating what's available to us. And that is very costly, because 9% of total project costs are related to reworks. So if the number of reworks required could be reduced, companies could also save a lot of money on their overall project. And all of this could also be streamlined through the incorporation of technology into a company's existing workflows. So today, we will be introducing you to a more dynamic and a more collaborative approach, and show you how you can actually combine Matterport's technology with Procore to speed up the construction projects, minimize the number of reworks necessary, and streamline collaboration. But before we do that, Travis, do you want to do a little bit and talk about the time aspect of the project?
Yeah, that's great. From a study that Procore did, we know that 28% of the total project time is spent on rework, while 18% of that time is spent looking for data. We know data is kind of everywhere, and project engineers or project managers have to spend a ton of time looking in multiple different sources for that data. These two things kind of attribute to projects being over time and as was mentioned, over budget as well.
Indeed. Thank you so much. When we think about the world of digital twins, so diving now into Matterport's core technology, it's a very broad word. And as you may know, everybody likes to talk about digital twins these days. But when Matterport is using the word digital twin, we are really referring to a visually immersive, interactive, dimensionally accurate 3D model of a space at any stage of the building lifecycle. And that is really inclusive of all the spatial data that's behind the scenes. So when we look at it from an AEC perspective again, such a digital twin can significantly reduce costs and time, because architects, for example, can easily capture as-built conditions on the project site when kicking off the design process. Engineers, for example, can reduce necessary site visits and remove the guesswork by streamlining their workflows through digital twins and being able to make decisions faster. And then contractors and construction managers can significantly improve communication and reduce risk by documenting project milestones and monitoring progress and collaborating efficiently on issue resolution with this visual site context provided by the digital twin that you can see here on the slide. And so the bottom line is really that Matterport's reality capture technology ultimately brings that visual clarity to your construction projects and is really relevant at any stage of the project lifecycle. And if we go to the next slides, we can see some additional benefits for using digital twins throughout the project lifecycle. So it's enhanced collaboration, improved project efficiency, and complete and accurate records. So when we look at enhanced collaboration, thinking about that by providing 3D documentation, digital twins really facilitate improved communication and collaboration amongst contractors, property owners, architects, and other project stakeholders. And then this enhanced collaboration leads also to a better decision-making and a more efficient project progress. And then when we look at the second tile, at improved project efficiencies, digital twins really provide a comprehensive understanding of site conditions, enabling early identifications of potential issues. And then that in turn allows us for more effective planning and the streamlined communication of critical information. And as a result, project efficiency is significantly improved, which then ultimately reduces delays and cost overruns. And then lastly, complete and accurate records. Digital twins really serve as a centralized repository for all project milestones and data. So it really ensures that all the project-related information is documented accurately and completely, which makes it then easier to track the progress, troubleshoot any kind of issues or problems, and then maintain a throughout record of the project's history. And if you're not yet familiar with Matterport, you may wonder how this actually works and how we create those digital twins in the first place. So basically, the Matterport workflow encompasses different elements. So there's the capture piece, then you can document and you can collaborate, and then you can extend the value of the digital twin throughout integrations. So it's basically super simple, although it may not seem like that right now, but you can capture a site very rapidly using different capture devices. And I will show you example of this here in just the next slide. But before that, Matterport overall is very camera agnostic, meaning we are compatible with a variety of professional cameras. And once the capture is done, it only takes one click to upload the data to the cloud. And what makes Matterport very unique is our AI machine learning algorithm, so our Cortex AI, it's a deep learning neural network, which is strengthened with every single space that we capture. And it takes the capture and the various components, so the point cloud, the mesh, and the photo imagery, and stitches everything together to ultimately spit out, so to say, that beautiful 3D model. So overall, it's an all-in-one tool. So what you can capture on site is really what you get out of it. So then you can collaborate on the space from anywhere and at any time. The scan is incredibly easy to access. It just requires a URL and can therefore be accessed from any device that's connected to the internet. And also it loads everywhere very easily. It's not a clunky file. It's not hard to navigate. It's very easy and easy to collaborate with. And then you can also virtually walk through the space, remotely collaborate with your colleagues, take measurements directly from within the scan, tag and comment on any part of the job site from any device. And most importantly, you can stay on schedule by improving communication and removing costly delays and reworks. So you can then, once you have done all of that, and once you have used basically the basic functionality of Matterport, you can take it to the next level by integrating those 3D models seamlessly with existing enterprise software. So for example, this is where the Procore piece comes in, because you can, for example, bring that visual clarity to your workflows in Procore, in BIM software, and other AEC software without the need for time-consuming conversions. But how do we get to that 3D model? If you can go to the next slide, please. As I said before, there are a number of devices or cameras out there that can create reality captures. And this slide really shows our Matterport capture toolkit. So all these cameras that are compatible with Matterport's platform. So there's, for example, the smartphone in your pocket. That's a very easy and affordable way to get started. Alternatively, you could use a number of compatible 360 cameras to generate a smoother and more accurate digital twin. But those can help with very fast documentation, but they are typically used only for very small areas. However, then, for example, for jobs that require more accuracy and more information coming from your scan, the Matterport cameras are a fantastic option. So as you can see here, we have a Matterport Pro 2 and Pro 3. The Pro 3 is what we released last year. It's incredibly fast. As you can see here on the slide, it takes the camera less than 20 seconds to scan one scan position. It's LiDAR based, and therefore it's fantastic for outdoor capture, also for indoors, but also for outdoors, which is what was our breakthrough, or a breakthrough for us. And it provides trusted accuracy. And then the predecessor of that was our Pro 2, which is infrared based, and therefore also a fantastic option for specifically indoor scanning and provides reliable accuracy. But then we also have, or not we, but aside from that, there are also high-end survey-grade traditional LiDAR-based cameras, such as the Leica BLK, and other examples that you may have heard of are a Faro or a Trimble, but those are not compatible with Matterport's platform. And those cameras provide super high-density scans and are really great for complex and very detailed documentation of, for example, a utility site or a manufacturing plant, where that granular level of detail might be extremely relevant. But the scan time for those cameras can be significantly longer, as you can already see here on the slide. But basically, only 5% of the projects out there require that level of accuracy, as you can see on that slide. In 90 to 95% of the cases, the Matterport Pro 3, for example, would be totally sufficient, given the use case is all about documenting and collaborating. But overall, a hybrid accuracy is important, as in some stages of your project lifecycle, you might require pinpoint accuracy, which can be achieved with a survey-grade scanner, especially when you think of precision tasks such as establishing building control points. But when you then think about the majority of the cases, we deal rather with non-precision tasks, where visual site context can help with issue management, efficient documentation, and communication. So the ability really to effectively understand and ingest the collected data allows teams to then clearly identify issues, communicate them, document them, and ultimately, hopefully, resolve them. So working at cost and speed in these tasks allows us really to be very efficient and benefit the project in the most impactful way. And in those scenarios, that's where Matterport Pro, the Matterport Pro series would be totally sufficient. So ultimately, it really comes down to the task and using the right tool at the right job and at the right time. And now that you are more familiar with how a digital twin is being created, at least I hope so, let's look at a project lifecycle. As mentioned earlier, digital twins can be used for the entire project lifecycle, so from pre-construction and design to actual construction of the project, and then all the way to close out and handoff of the project. Because that visual clarity immensely benefits stakeholders at any point in time. And when you think about the initial phases, for example, the design phase, you want to get a quick scan of the site to get as-built documentation for your condition assessment. You may want to be able to quickly do your estimations to ensure that you stay within budget and also on time, or use also the scan to walk through it as you're, for example, interviewing contractors or subcontractors and bidding out the project. And when you look at the actual construction, you can capture project milestones and monitor progress with digital twins throughout the project. So you can create, track, and resolve RFIs, observations, and coordination issues, which is going to be the heart of our integration, which we'll touch upon later on, to really ensure that the project stays within a predefined timeline and also within cost, because that, of course, is always the most important when you deal with any kind of project. And then it also allows you to do safety training, for example, on top of this. So if you want your contractors and subcontractors and other vendors to be familiar with the project site before they ever set foot on the actual construction site, that can easily be done through digital twins, and then also eliminates any kind of travel or necessary site visits. And so in the end, it's really about value creation. So what can you give the end client? What can you give that customer of yours? Basically, it's something that they will always remember you for, so that they really feel that their contractor, their architect, their engineer they hired is really had their best interest at heart. And so you can document that finished space, for example, and add full specifications of relevant areas within the space by leveraging our tag functionality, embed relevant information, for example, links or PDF files or even photos. And then you can also use it for training purposes and onboarding. And lastly, you can use that beautiful 4K scan and that digital twin also as a promotional asset. And then to close things out on the Matterport side, here's a snippet of some of our AEC firms that are already using Matterport. We have, for example, Gilbane, one of the leading global builders and real estate developers. They use Matterport for documenting milestones and also streamlining collaboration, which then eliminates costly site visits and also helps achieving a company's sustainability goals. And H Angus is using Matterport primarily for the design phase of the project. And they were able to reduce BIM cost file creation, or like cost of BIM file creation, because Matterport also allows those derivative assets to be generated directly from that digital twin. And then lastly, Swinerton, similar to Gilbane, is also using Matterport for milestone documentation. And now you've probably heard a lot from my side, so you're probably curious to hear about Procore. So I will pass it on to Travis to speak about Procore a little bit.
Thanks. Now that we've learned a little bit about Matterport, I'm going to go into a little bit about what Procore does for those of you that are not familiar with Procore. We're here because we want to improve the lives of everyone in construction. This is honestly why I joined Procore. Coming from the construction industry, I wanted to be part of the software that helps build the world. Procore knows the people in construction have a passion for this industry, and they chose construction because they are builders at heart and want to create something lasting, something that they can point to and say, I built that. Procore also knows that the work that you do is increasingly complex. A vast majority of construction is essentially custom work. That means that there's not a reliable roadmap for most projects, and that every project has its own unique stakeholders and stakeholder dynamics. As someone who has literally worn every hat in the construction industry, I was involved in multiple projects run with Procore and lots of projects run without Procore. I can tell you on the ones without Procore, I spent 3 times the amount of time chasing down submittals, observations, RFIs that were open, and it took me 3 times longer to reply. That definitely slowed down the project. Procore is here to connect the entire project lifecycle from pre-con to closeout while managing every aspect of your construction journey in a single source of truth. Procore connects the field and office with unlimited users so that everyone can work on a single platform. This allows you to collaborate with all of your stakeholders and invite them to the project. It also means managing your data across all projects and ensuring that everybody has access to that same information in real time. I want to highlight some of the key aspects about the Procore platform. We have offerings to help you in pre-construction, project execution, workforce management, and financial management. Most of those we won't dive into today, but we'll focus a little bit more on the project execution. With all your project data in one location, that allows you to do some exciting work in construction intelligence and analytics. And for the things that Procore can't do, we have an open API that allows both customers and developers to integrate with Procore. We have 400 plus apps in the marketplace that allow you to solve any problem that you might have, including, and the one that we're going to highlight here today is the integration with Matterport. A little bit more about Procore and the people using Procore. We have 13,000 customers who have built more than 1 million projects on Procore. Owners like Boston's Children's Hospital, GCs like Balfour Beatty, Griffin and Crane, and especially contractors like FSG Electrical. While Procore has many offerings that we showed earlier to help you run your business, today we're really going to focus on the project execution tools. These tools help you keep your project moving and have you build with more confidence. We'll dive into these tools a little bit later as we outline the integration directly with Matterport.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Travis, for this great overview of Procore. Now that you have learned about Procore and about Matterport, you probably wonder, how are we working together? How are we partnering? And what is the integration that we just released, which is basically the advanced integration. Before we dive into the details, we have a quick teaser for you so that you can see what that integration is all about. Fantastic. Hopefully that gave you guys already a quick introduction and overview of what our integration entails. And DJ and I will be tackling this section here a little bit together now. But maybe to kick things off on the Matterport side, we used to already have an existing integration with Procore, but it was a very basic one, which was the embed functionality, which allowed customers and any kind of users to embed the Matterport showcase link inside Procore. And that has been, I think, also around for a couple of years already, and was also free to everyone, regardless of their subscription level. And now, since last month, we released an integration which is called the data sync, which is our advanced integration, and that encompasses two core features. So it's the upload and the two-way sync to RFIs, observations, and coordination issues. And those features are only available for customers with business and enterprise plans. So from that one, you could already just see it in the video, but you can create, track RFIs, observation, and coordination issues directly from within the digital twin, which then creates a visual system of record for site conditions that anyone on a project can track. So you no longer have to rely on 2D documentation or complex CAD imagery to coordinate project tasks remotely. Our integration basically allows you to collaborate with that visual site context and remotely access the construction sites, which then hopefully facilitates issue resolution. DJ, do you want to give a quick insight or an overview of that integration from a Procore perspective, and and what value it basically brings to any stakeholders related to a project?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the whole intent here is to try to, create some single system of record or system of truth to where, project stakeholders can interact with project information and things along those lines. And what's nice about that is, pictures and the way that Matterport captures existing site conditions is not only do you have the picture, but you have the ability to kind of capture some measurements and things along those lines. So we know is throughout the course of construction, there are things that are identified, whether they warrant an RFI or it's an observation for tracking quality issues, or even just early on efforts to try to kind of coordinate with the design team and the owner and your trade partners, leveraging kind of that coordination issues tool within Procore. But being able to create these things within Matterport, sync it up to Procore, you give that visibility and kind of accountability to everybody as to kind of what's going on. But it's just not the text information of an RFI or an observation coordination issue. You're getting kind of that visual backup as well, as you can kind of see in this example graphic here. And so anything that I think project teams can do to try to make these changes and things that happen so quickly throughout construction, to be able to give them a little better visual context, if you will, as to exactly what the issue is or what kind of was leading up to the current issue, and having that kind of history there is extremely valuable. It helps people make decisions much quicker, gives them, arms them with the information they need to make those decisions. And being able to kind of connect these platforms together is, at the end of the day, it's just going to hopefully make the project run that much smoother. Being able to upload files directly to the documents tool is a really key feature as well, so that you can take some of those things out of Matterport, put them into the documents tool, and easily share them with other members of the project team. And then again, that kind of sync to RFIs, observations, coordination issues. And so that's what the two-way sync is really valuable, depending on whichever platform you're in. If you're in Matterport and you're kind of looking and doing that kind of visual walk through the model, and you see those pins for those different items created in Procore, you can quickly see what that status is, right? If that coordination issue is still open and there's conversations happening, or if the RFI is still outstanding, or even with observations there, you have kind of those two means, and that sync is, again, what kind of makes it really key, is that data is as up to date as it would be in either platform.
Yes, thank you so much, DJ, for all of this. It definitely significantly increases the collaboration or the collaborative effort that stakeholders have when communicating on different kind of site projects and need to resolve issues quickly. If we can go to the next slide, please. That basically just reiterates everything that DJ just outlined. That is only focused right now on the publish functionality. So basically, that you can take your derivative asset that I talked about earlier, for example, a BIM file or a matter pack, that's available for a digital twin that you created. You can simply download that, or once it's downloaded, you can simply export this to Procore, and it will directly land in the Procore project documents. And so that you can then directly act on this and use it for all of your workflows. And currently, our integration supports files up to 10 gigabytes, which is actually pretty large. So hopefully that should cover and satisfy most of your projects. But we'll always also work on improving the integration throughout. But yes, that's one component. DJ, is there anything to add on this specific side of the thing, or should we go into the RFIs in more detail?
No, I think this is pretty straightforward, but again, it's kind of recapping what the capabilities and some of the new functionality that Matterport's releasing today is to further enhance that collaboration and sharing of this thing. So instead of things being siloed between Matterport and Procore, that connectability that y'all have created allows, again, people, hey, where do I want to go see the Matterport, right? I want to be able to go in there. That embedded app experience still gives them the feeling that they're inside Procore, but they're inside Matterport. And knowing that there's this sync, again, you're not worried about that data kind of being siloed. It is talking to each other in the back end and making sure everything's kind of up to date. So the worst thing that you could have happen is somebody's looking at it inside Matterport, and then, it's not synced with Procore. You have that potential for mistakes to be made, or as to like Travis's point at the beginning, one of the points you had there is how much time do I have to spend to find the information that I need to actually do my job or make that proper decision?
Exactly. It boils all back down to being a single source of truth so that you can easily access and manage all the information, and that you can combine this with that visual clarity and site context to really make informed decisions faster, and also communicate it easier to various stakeholders, right? Like otherwise, miscommunication is just happening so frequently on any kind of project, and having that visual site clarity and knowing and basically collaborating in the same site context, also wherever you may be in the world, just eliminates all of this and makes it and streamlines all of your workflows, basically. If we look at the next slide, I believe we covered most of this already, but maybe diving a little bit deeper. But basically, for those of you who are not too familiar with RFIs, observation and coordination issues, and basically, of course, Procore has various other stuff too that you can do with the Procore platform, but that's where Matterport built the integration with, because those are really critical for construction projects. And as you know, like RFIs need to be solved and need to be closed out before a project can be submitted and can be completely officially closed, right? So we need to make sure that those are closed out and answered. And it just streamlines everything by using that visual site clarity that you get from Matterport. DJ, is there anything else that you wanted to cover here in regards to those three key issues? Maybe how relevant they really are in a construction manner or site?
Well, they're extremely relevant. These are some of the more bigger tools used by construction professionals, regardless of which platform that you're using to manage these projects. There are always going to be RFIs that are going to be written on the project, right? To kind of receive that more formal written instruction from the design team or the owner in resolving kind of some of these issues here. Observations is a great tool within Procore, which is, again, kind of tracking some of those either quality issues or activities that have kind of happened within the field here. And then the coordination issues tool is also kind of a great a tool within Procore where you can leverage this as well, where you can maybe potentially start the conversation and identification of a potential issue, and then elevate that to an observation if needed to for further field work, or elevating that to an RFI to kind of get that formal design team response. But what I appreciate about the reality capture space as it's really kind of maturing in these kind of last couple of years is it's that historical kind of record. So, we have an example here where you're looking at, a project and you still see the walls are framed up. You start seeing some mechanical roughing, some electrical roughing. Where a lot of us know this is extremely powerful is in after that drywall gets on, right, one side starts getting covered up, you may need to actually get inside that wall and kind of either find an outlet or piping or some of those other things, or you got to make some changes. It's good to know that you can kind of step back, and know that, hey, if we're going to make this change here, it's going to impact these sorts of systems. That then gives you that information to then write that RFI and say, hey, we need some design direction here with the owner. And then, within Procore, RFIs can be moved to change events. So you can kind of see, hey, why are we asking for more money to complete some of this work? Here's some of that visual information. Here's some of that historical reference that you can use so that you can kind of, help you make decisions better and faster by being able to kind of have information such as Matterport easily at hand and be able to kind of share there. So
absolutely, this is actually a really great point that you bring up, in my opinion, because like you can actually time travel in between different project milestones that we have talked about so much now in this presentation. You want to capture it throughout the project lifecycle. You really want to see how it developed over time, and that you can also use as when you hand it over ultimately to the owner of the project ultimately, right? So you want to show something, you want to document all of this, and you can then, to DJ's point, time travel, so to say, quote unquote, back and forth between different stages of the project. Also, if you want to refer back to something that had happened in the very initial stages and now becomes relevant maybe at one of the later stages. So it really becomes a very, very beneficial asset. And again, like customers and users don't really need to rely on that 2D documentation or these complex CAD files any longer, because those are also first of all, 2D images you cannot really navigate through anyways, but also CAD files are very hard to navigate through. And Matterport's digital twin with the 4K imagery overlay just gives you that really as built, or like this photorealistic digital twin that really shows you how it looks and in the time of the project, and then really allows everyone to communicate based on the same source of truth. And now that we spoke so much about the integration, how it works, maybe we can show you how it's actually been done. So show you a quick demo so that you guys are all on the same page as to how easy it is really to work on the integration or with the integration.
Before we jump into the details of how the integration between Procore and Matterport works, we've got to cover some prerequisites. The first thing you need to know is that you have to have a Matterport business or enterprise level account. If you don't have that yet, it's really easy to sign up. Just go to the Procore partner page and fill out the form. Next, of course, you have to have a Procore account. And if you're not an admin in your Matterport account, just go ahead and let your admin know that they should go to Settings, Add-ons, go down to Procore and make sure that is enabled. Now, with your Procore integration enabled, you can do a couple things. One, you can upload your add-ons from your Matterport model to your Procore project. And of course, the other really cool thing you can do is create RFIs, observations, and coordination issues within the Matterport model itself to sync with your Procore project. And that's a really great way of creating a two-way line of communication and collaboration between anyone using the Procore project and the Matterport model. Now, in order to import and upload the Matterport add-ons like the Matterpack and the BIM assets to your Procore project, you need a couple things. First thing is you have to have either standard or admin level permissions on your Procore documents tool. And of course, either or both Matterpack and BIM asset add-ons have to have been ordered via your Matterport model. So now with either the Matterpack or BIM assets ready to download, instead of downloading, you can choose the Export to Procore button instead. Once you tap Export to Procore, a pop-up window will allow you to log into your Procore account. At this point, you select the Procore project that you want to associate with this Matterport model. And then you choose the Matterpack or BIM folder depending on which of these assets you're uploading to your Procore project. Now that the two model and project are in sync, you can actually go into your Procore project to access the Matterport model. Simply open the connected project and search for the Matterpack or BIM files that you just exported. From here, as I mentioned before, you can create your RFIs, observations, and coordination issues. You just need to make sure that you have edit permissions in your Matterport model and standard permissions in your Procore project. In order to access these features from your Matterport model page, just go to the Matterport digital twin that is associated with your Procore project. Click on the Add-ons tab, find the Procore add-on, and then click Launch. Once you're in the Matterport digital twin itself, it's really simple to create one of these issues. Just navigate your way to where you have one of these issues, click the button, and then just click anywhere in the model where you want to add one of these tags. Depending on which tag you're placing in the Matterport digital twin determines what fields you have available. In this case, you can see we have title, description, and type available. This is then synchronized with the Procore project so that stakeholders can go into the project to see exactly what you have tagged. Also, as I said before, this is a two-way line of communication. So any updates made to the Procore project side get reflected in the Matterport digital twin side and vice versa. Anytime you create one of these tags, a deep link is associated with the Procore project. And when you click that deep link from the Procore project, you're brought into the Matterport digital twin exactly where that tag was placed. You can see all the information that's in the tag in the context of the digital twin itself.
Yeah, basically, as you just saw in the video, just to reiterate, it's very easy to get started. You simply need a business license or above, and then you need to have a Procore account as well too, and then you basically have to just go to the Procore app marketplace that Travis previously also introduced, and search for the Matterport app, install that, and yeah, then you can basically get started. As soon as you have BIM files or any kind of other matter packs associated with your space, you can easily export this, or as we discussed earlier, you can then directly go ahead and create RFIs, coordination issues and observations directly from within the digital twin. So you just have to toggle on Procore within the Matterport settings, and that's all you need to do in order to get started. So pretty simple, and I think that wraps up our presentation. Oh yeah, and if you don't want to learn more, you can scan those QR codes that lead directly to the Procore app marketplace and to our partner landing page that also gives you more information about our integration and basically reiterates what we have touched upon today. And yeah, that also has a call to action there. So if you want to get in touch with Matterport, you can do that just by filling out the form. And now we are open to questions. Amir, do we have stuff in the Q&A tab?
Yeah, there is a question in here. Let's look at that.
Oh, I'm seeing it right now. Okay.
How will jumping between site captures taken on different dates work? So does that make sense? So if you have a capture of one milestone and another capture of another milestone, how does that integration work, or what's a good workflow for that?
Yeah, totally. I can get started with this, and DJ, Travis, feel free to layer in here. But simply put, as you've seen, any of your captures, whether it is a BIM file or a matter pack, if you want to use it from this side, for example, you can integrate this easily. You can open it within a certain project within Procore and associate it with that. And if you do another scan at a later point for a different milestone, for example, you can then also do the exact same steps again and also open that new capture within Procore again, associated with for example, then same project, so that you have an updated scan of that project where it is right now, and then can go through the same steps again. So it's pretty easy to update captures throughout the project lifecycle.
Yeah, and I think maybe their question more is like, it's probably something that could be potentially shared with the attendee. That's kind of the question, but I think they're wanting to kind of see how do I go back and forth between those captures done on different dates? And I think that's kind of some of that native functionality kind of there within Matterport to be able to kind of time travel, if you will, maybe to kind of look some things back. And that seems to be a pretty powerful feature where stakeholders are going to want to look at a particular area and then see, all right, what did this look like 2 weeks ago? What did this look like, 2 months ago? Being able to quickly kind of leverage what has been captured by the Matterport, so you can be in one spot and kind of see that history. And so from what I understand, that's kind of part of that native functionality that's there. Doesn't seem to be require too many steps for you to be able to kind of access that historical information that you need.
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's one more just came in. Will there be multiple spaces associated with the same Procore project? Yeah, so basically, DJ, I don't know if you want to layer in here or if you want me to take it, but to my knowledge, you just have to, as soon as you have a new capture and you want to associate it with Procore, you simply have to export this from the Matterport instance, as you've seen in the demo and also on the previous slide. You simply have to export this to Procore and then choose the right project you want to associate it with, and it can be living in one of the documents folders there. And then to GJ's point just now, creates that system of record, that archive that you can refer back to. What else do we have?
I'm not seeing any other ones. Travis answered one that came through kind of in the chat, which is that the geolocation kind of question between the drawings in Procore and Matterport captures. And I know that functionality doesn't quite exist. It is part of the native functionality within our models tool, but I think that's a good suggestion for this team to take away to potentially look at some other opportunities to kind of deepen the integration between Procore and Matterport, like being able to leverage the drawings to potentially navigate into a space inside Matterport, right? So kind of give them that 2D context of here's what kind of the space is, and be able to kind of leverage that. I think that's what that question is around, and being able, again, kind of just appending a little bit more information, right? Because sometimes you could be in that Matterport space and it's an early part of the project and you have no sort of contextual reference. And so I think that's kind of what the question from Peter is, all right, how do we kind of help visually align some of those things there? So I think that's actually a worthy discussion point for the team to kind of take away.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that's great context. And Travis, I'm seeing you are just answering a question here in the chat in regards to how Procore can get contacted in each country. I believe you guys are global, so we'll answer this through the chat. France, do you want to say something to this, Travis, live, or do you want to just answer this?
I can answer it live. So we do have a team in France that you can reach out to purchase Procore, use Procore. So we have a team in France, in Germany, Ireland, in the UK. DJ, correct me if I missed any there.
No, it's pretty close. I mean, you just go to the website, contact Procore, and then based on where you are, somebody from that region or help support that particular area throughout the world can kind of reach out to them. There's a question from Kimmy about, is there plans for Matterport to further integrate with potentially the Punch tool? Again, I think that's also a worthy discussion here. I know that Travis is involved with this. I get involved with this with some of our partners, but we like today announcing kind of this release of the connection to the current tools within Procore. That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to stop there. These suggestions from y'all as customers of both of our platforms, these suggestions are really valid because that's what kind of helps both of these teams kind of determine what would be the next tool, or how do we deepen the integration between these two platforms to better serve our customers. And the punch list one is an excellent example for that one. Same with like link within drawings there. So know that typically what we see is this relationship we have with partners kind of grows and then deepens as more customers kind of get involved and say, hey, it would be great if Matterport Procore you could do Punch inside Matterport. I think there's definitely a strong use case in that aspect, but that's where for us, like on the software side, we need some of these suggestions from our customers. Go ahead, please, Travis.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to give a little backstory of why we started with observation coordination issues in RFIs, is that's a little bit more the course of the course of construction work. We kind of know that and see, especially in the scan of the existing site, we see a lot of value in that course of construction. So that's kind of where we started. Not to say that punch list isn't I mean, it's an incredibly powerful feature. And as DJ mentioned, I would, the more feedback that we can get, the stronger the case to build out that feature would be for the Matterport team. So would love to hear that feedback and then take it back to the team that built it.
Yeah, I can only agree with that. And we have also had customer conversations also already. And so as we just launched this integration, we would be very keen to hearing from all of our customers that are intending to use the integration and are already trying it out for all of their feedback. That will be hugely beneficial to both of DJ's and Travis's point, to collect that and to really see where's the demand and how can we go deeper, how can we grow this integration going forward. So always very, very interested in hearing everybody's feedback. We'll keep track of that. I think another question that sometimes comes up too, that has not come up right now, but is also that how are updates of RFIs or coordination issues or observations being reflected in, for example, the Matterport space. And basically, given the integration, it will be very seamless. So if the RFI, the coordination issue, or the observation has been created within the digital twin itself, just to begin with, then basically any update that's been made on the Procore platform side of things, where this will land ultimately, will then be reflected back in the Matterport digital twin. So it's ultimately, again, a single source of truth. I think we got another Q&A. Will there be a timeline compare feature that will show new and old captures, i.e. seeing previous scans with RFIs and new scans with resolved RFIs? DJ, do you want to start with that, or do you want me to start?
I think that's more of a Matterport functionality, but I think the question is, if they update or do take a new scan, can you see those pins from the previous scan? Will those move over to the new one?
Yes. I mean, if you add a completely new scan to the project, I believe that you would create new RFIs from that onwards, but you can always refer back to the existing or to the previous scan, for example, and all of the RFIs and coordination issues and observations will be archived in there. So you can see the entire progress on an RFI. And as we talked you through, like an RFI needs to be closed out in order to finish the project. And so you can follow through basically if progress has been made and if it has been resolved. And you will also see this track record, so to say, in the Matterport digital twin throughout the project lifecycle. But if you add a new scan entirely to the project, then it will be a new scan, so to say. So you would need to refer back in the same project folder, so to say, between the scans. But you are able to track progress throughout time and also see and have visibility into the resolved ones.
Those are some good questions from the attendees.
I agree. Very active. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate the engagement here and also all your questions. Really, really great. And again, if there are no more questions, we can also wrap it up basically, but you are always welcome to reach out to us if you have any other questions. And if you, for example, also didn't get the chance to scan the QR codes that we presented earlier, we will also be sending out follow-up emails with more information so that you can learn more about Matterport's partnership with Procore, the integration and everything else. So definitely keep an eye out for those. And again, like, feel free to reach out to us at any point if you have any questions. And yeah, if there are no other questions, then thank you so much again to our guest speakers. Travis, DJ, thank you so much for joining me today and joining Matterport to present here on our recently launched integration. Super, super excited about this. I think there's going to be a lot of value in the construction industry. Yeah, it's been a big pleasure working with you. And also, I hope that the audience took away a lot of new learnings today and takeaways, and yeah, had an insightful conversation.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.